Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at Project Cold War, a brand new game from Wargaming. I am a World of Warships CC, if you're not familiar with me. I cover World of Warships. Wargaming seemed fit to invite me to the closed alpha for this and asked to get some content coverage, and I was like, what the heck is this? I've never heard of this game. So for those of you who aren't familiar, just as I was probably 48 hours ago, Project Cold War, or PCW is a tank hero shooter. It combines those three elements into some visceral gameplay that is actually very rewarding and enjoyable, but it is not quite the same as what has come before. So, this is a little bit of World of Tanks, a little bit of Halo, a little bit of Battlefield, and a little bit of Overwatch, Call of Duty, all mixed together. And I want to emphasize that it is more of everything mixed together than the tank aspects. Yes, the tank gameplay you know and love from World of Tanks is there, but it doesn't play like World of Tanks. It doesn't function like World of Tanks. It has learned a lot of adjusted game type designs from World of Tanks, and thankfully they don't bring it over. There is no gold ammo. It is gone from this game. There's no consideration whatsoever. Hallelujah. Uh, it's one of the most frustrating things about World of Tanks. So it's just not here. So let's go into basically the vehicle depot part of the UI and just talk through what we see so that we can kind of explain what they're trying to do. So we have daily challenges. These are daily missions or quests that you need to log in for, and they give you reward. And in this example, if you do these 3 challenges, you unlock a 4th one, and that will give you a total of 2,000 soft currency. Yes, there's soft currency and hard currency. They don't have an official name for their currency yet. Soft is credits, hard is like doubloons or gold, and it's something that you buy with real money or, extensively unlocking. There's also division reputation. Now, division reputation in closed alpha doesn't really seem to have anything functioning for it, but it seems that the different agents, and that's what they call their units in this game, the different agents have different factions that they affiliate with. Think Russians, think Germans, think Americans, think Brits. And with that comes the division reputation that you must earn to unlock agents. But as for closed alpha, this is basically disabled. This doesn't function. So if you watch people on stream or you're trying to figure out, how is this game set up, that's what the game currently doesn't have really functioning, is a reputation that allows you to unlock these agents. For this example, all we use is soft currency, but I don't think that's how the game is going to be set up because it's very easy to just unlock agents with soft currency. Speaking of agents, let's take a look at agents. So there are 3 types of agents: attackers, defenders, and fire support. Now, you might automatically assume that attackers must be like DPS, defenders must be tanks, and the fire support must be utility / sniping, and you're pretty much right. And it seems that this game has decided to make these 3 not necessarily counter each other, but they have strengths and weaknesses against each of the different types that play into how you approach the counter tank play. So, for example, the first one that we're given is the attacker Rakati. And the way that the game is set up, you have hit points, damage, energy, which is a resource that allows you to use abilities like artillery strike or barrage or smoke cloud. These are things that are actions that you can take in the match that turn the tide. And if you take advantage of your strengths and weaknesses, might allow you to damage a target in a situation where it would normally be an equal playing field. So the abilities that each tank or agent comes with dictates how you approach the game. Every single agent has their own unique abilities that cost energy. These own unique abilities will affect how you approach the game. For example, the Titan. The Titan has a B-52 bomber squadron that it can call in a short range to your tank. It is a warning to the enemies. They will be warned to get out of the area. If you don't get out of the area, you're going to take damage. When this ability is used, it uses the energy that is regenerated over time with a cap of 100 in this example, but different tanks have different energy and damage and all these sorts of things. So instead of World of Tanks, where you have traditional gun cannons set up with traditional ammo and you have to manage or maintenance your crew, none of that exists in Project CW. In Project CW, if you wanted to invest in a tank or an agent, you would need to edit the loadout of that tank. Every agent has 10 levels that they can unlock. And over time, you can also unlock the ability to equip perks. These perks affect and are unique to each agent, but the effects might be different. For example, you might get a perk that emphasizes your ability. You might get a perk that is emphasizing your gun system, or you might get a perk that enhances your defensive nature. And that can directly influence how you play these agents out. So for this example, every single level, I believe, for Titan, it's the default defender tank. This is the default tank. It has 3 on average options in each slot, and each option has a different goal. For example, the first slot on the Titan, you can put hit points and damage reduction. You can do a minor amount of hit points with a major amount of damage reduction, but only to select shell type. Or you could forego your defensive installation and you can install enhanced ammo. The enhanced ammo will give you more damage, it'll crit modifier, all these sorts of things. And you can verify this with the stats sheet. Now, this is just an aside. If Wargaming, you're going to do a stats sheet like this, it would be really beneficial if the game would shift over to the right so that I can click on these and compare how the stats would affect. As you can see, the UI element is covered up by the stat sheet. Doesn't really make sense. There's all this room on the right side that could easily be filled in with the stat sheet. So I just think that's a usability issue. That's not really related to like whether the game's going to be good or bad. That's just something that Wargaming can update. But I do think that it's nice to update it because you do see in real time the example of changing. So, of course, if you can see it in real time, other than the UI being awkward, shouldn't you be able to use the UI to verify how you want to be? But as I'm saying this, let's say, you know what? I want to play the Titan as a damage dealer because I'm getting in a match with a Chopper, which is another defender tank. I'm going to go and install all of the damage modifying abilities. So very quickly, you can change the way that the way this tank / agent will be played. And it is a wide range of different abilities that the agent can equip to the tank that will change the nature of it. For example, in the communication one, I can choose to have my B-52 bomber have a greater cast range for my tank. It is pretty shallow. Or I can have it do more damage when it lands. Or I can forego enhancing my abilities and only focus on the tank's abilities, your traditional tank, reticle size, aiming, acceleration, hit points, that sort of thing. So it's nice that the game offers a variety of ways to play each agent and change the way that they're played pretty much in real time. I mean, it doesn't cost money. It might cost money when it goes live. I don't quite know how their economy is going to be run because obviously this is closed alpha. Now, that's not the only thing that you can do. You can equip consumables. Some of them are manually activated, or have a conditional effect. Now, in the example, it looks like you can have 2 manual and 1 conditional. You can't have 2 conditional and 1 manual, and that's just a balance choice. There are other slots that I don't have unlocked, but I am leveling up the agent, and one of the ways that they seem to be in the future is you'll be able to buy XP to level the agent up. But anyway, you can enhance the way the tank is defended with all these different slots, and that's going to update the way the tank looks. And you might say to yourself, you know, in the past, games have shied away from all of these customizable 3D models sitting all over the tank, obscuring, or sitting all over the character, obscuring the actual ragdoll hitbox of the player. And you are absolutely correct that that can be something that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, I don't think that can be addressed in something like World of Tanks because it has to be kind of built from the ground up with this camouflage and appearance updating mechanic in mind. Now, the way that they get around offering all these different charms and stuff to sell for your tank is they have a sort of real-time armor indication, and you'll see this in-game with the crosshair. When you target a tank, unlike World of Tanks, where the center dot changes color based on the penetration chances, in Project Cold War, whenever you're targeting a tank, you will get this hexagonal like shielding effect that will highlight different aspects of the tank that are damageable or need to be considered. And you'll notice that this is actually not intersecting with the objects on the tank. And it's definitely more apparent when you're in battle. If it is an enhancement that doesn't affect the armor, then it won't be considered in this armor system, and the game will communicate that in real time in battle. And that's obviously to encourage players to buy all of the cosmetic items that they can. I mean, look at this. If you look from the rear and I drive up on the Titan and I look to shoot it at its critical point, this whole box isn't even considered for the hitbox. And there's more. They've got charms that will dangle off the back and they'll create sort of like a keychain effect. So there's a lot of cosmetic attachments that you can buy for agents in Project Cold War. However, they have built the armor and the cosmetic system to consider that and to allow the player to see through the cosmetic obscuring graphics and stuff like that. This is similar to how Halo Infinite works. So if you're familiar with that, you should be familiar with this sort of shielding highlight effect that will inform the player that this is indeed an enemy, and this is indeed a part of the enemy's tank that you can damage, even if the graphic is, you know, a crazy Hellspawn Godzilla standing on top of it, right? That won't be considered for it. You can also change the penetration, the effective penetration of the shell incoming, so you can, you know, see how good your armor is to small arms or medium-sized cannons or, you know, even the big honking ones. So like the armor inspector, it's good to familiarize you with the tanks, and the mechanic is in game. The other thing that is also considered for every agent is every agent has their own features. The features are basically passives and activatable abilities that inform the way you play. Iron Warden, losing 50% hit points automatically resets the repair kit cooldown. Now, the repair kit is similar, but it is different from the one that Wargaming used in World of Tanks. This is kind of combining World of Tanks and World of Warships together. This is kind of damage control and repair party and the tank tread one all combined into one. It will provide a heal over time for your tank. So every time my repair kit comes off of cooldown, and it is free, I will be able to heal my Titan tank. And as you might imagine, if I heal my tank and it goes from like 30% all the way up to 60%, if a subsequent shell comes in and it drops me back below 50%, then my repair kit will instantly become available, and I can heal myself over time. So each of the agents have very unique features. I have not seen another agent that works like this one, for example. No other defender has a mechanic that activates the repair kit again. So you can effectively have 2 repair kits back to back, which that's a lot of health to work through for a defensive tank. It tells you it's a single shot. This might say burst fire. This might say autoloader. That's just to tell and inform. This is the B-52 bomber, and conveniently they show you an example of it being used in game. I always love that. It tells you stats, and the stats will be updated based on upgrades that you might equip or perks. And then smoke generator. A lot of the tanks in this game have smoke generating abilities. And because of that, there's tanks in the game that exploit this. For example, the Jager. This is the sniper. He's literally carrying a sniper rifle agent, and he has the ability to peer through the smoke cloud with his G key, and he has thermal imaging, but he can activate smoke as well. So when he activates smoke, or when anyone else activates smoke, he can always see them clear as day. And that's a huge advantage because there is potentially a lot of smoke in the environment. A lot of tanks have smoke. Not every single tank has the ability to pop smoke, but most of them do. So, you have to understand each of the agent's strengths and weaknesses. Bullseye, his feature, he doesn't have his repair kit instantly activated when he gets below 50%. Instead, if he hits 3 critical hits, he will gain an accuracy boost for 30 seconds or 2 shots, which obviously as a sniper is a big gain. So you would then be encouraged to go further and enhance your critical hit chance so that this bullseye trait would activate more frequently. Again, single shot. This actually can deploy a full-size decoy tank that players can shoot, and it can provide, spotting marker information, which is really fascinating. This is very Halo-esque, where you put out a decoy that baits players to attack it. It's very fun, and players obviously don't recognize it, but the decoy cannot move. So it's a tell that the decoy can't move, and obviously the decoy won't fire. That would be OP. You have thermal scope. This is what I was talking about. You can see through smoke, plain as day. That's a very strong ability with so much smoke. And then you can generate smoke yourself. And all of these abilities, say for Bullseye, require you consider energy. Now, thermal scope doesn't currently consider energy. Maybe they felt like it was going to be too much, like having a ticking energy going down. But the other abilities do. Smoke, you need to have enough energy to activate it. It also has to be off of cooldown. What's another good example? Well, the attacker unit is clearly a Soviet tank, so he's small and fast, and his ability is a rocket barrage. Now, the rocket barrage is good for forcing the tracks, to be in a broken state for longer, because it's a small amount of damage that can continuously update that slowdown effect. I don't know what it's called. When you take track damage, it disables the track, and then you have to repair it. If you do rocket barrage or Gauss cannon or something small, you're constantly attacking that part of the tank, and it can't repair the track. So things like this work well. It has autoloader. It has 3-shot, similar to, I think, the Italian tanks. I'm not familiar. And then this one is sharpshooter, and this also goes off of critical hits. So you would want to enhance for critical hits if that's what you were going for. I chose to go for damage to the shell, but depending on the agent, you might get completely different set of upgrades that would change the way that it would play completely. So every single agent has a completely different potential playstyle, up to potentially 3 or more, which is exciting. And there's already so many agents that you can choose from. I think you can choose the first, like, any agent that has a portrait that's actually recognizable, I could unlock and play, except for this one. So, this is an early offering, and this is the direction that they seem to be going with Project CW in the vehicle depot. You can also change, there's a battle pass. This is the seasonal, quote unquote, this is the battle pass. I didn't have to spend any real life money, but my familiarity with it from World of Warships says that on live, you will definitely be required to spend real money to unlock this battle pass. I don't know if you can have multiple battle passes going on at one time. I would assume it looks similar to World of Warships and World of Tanks. So it's a seasonal battle pass that once it happens, you won't have a chance again. Trophy Road is a way to accept further some specific set of missions that give you reward. In this example, it's a way to unlock an agent. Adam is a defender tank, but you can select different focuses, play 10 battles, damage with abilities. So using the B-52 bomber or that rocket barrage, that would qualify as an ability damage source. And yeah, you got 10 for this example. I'm sure they'll have plenty. As you can see, the UI kind of, look at what we plan on doing. It's not actually there. Same with the store. None of this is clickable. They'll sell legendary bundles with cosmetics, and I'm sure there'll be agents that you can buy as well. The agent system allows for them to reuse the same tank over and over and over. And yeah, my average score. I haven't played it as much as I would like, real life, of course. But yeah, that is the UI. You can play with up to 3 other agents, so a division of 3. I think that's how World of Tanks does it, but I know that's how World of Warships does it. It's a good number to play with. There's also, on top of that, there's 3 different types of game modes currently in testing. There is a 10 versus 10 conquest, 5 base capture, very Battlefield-like. There is a 5 versus 5 or 6 versus 6 plant/defuse bomb, which is very reminiscent of Counter-Strike. 1 life, you drive around the map in your agent's tank, and you obviously want to plant a bomb, and the opposing team who's defending wants to defuse the bomb, and once they're all knocked out, they're knocked out. And then there's also a capture and hold. So there's a lot of different game types to test. You might not necessarily get into the ideal game mode since they're all in the same. There's infinite spawn game modes with a single life game mode all in one quick match. So depending on what agent you choose, you might be better or worse in that matchup. But it's just the way the testing has been. There's no final say on where it will end up. That's just where we're going right now. Now, I just want to run through the agents really quick, and then we will go to a game. So this is the Soviet fast attack. In my opinion, the attackers are really good against defenders because they're much faster than their torturers. Defenders seem to be really good against long range because their armor is so thick, you can't penetrate it. And there are elements to Project CW that sort of obscure the information over distance. There isn't, for example, health bars everywhere driving around constantly. It's based on a specific spotting range, but you can see visually that the tank is drawn, unlike in World of Tanks where that tank would basically be invisible. You see a tank drawn, and you don't see its health pool for it. There's a good chance you're probably not going to be able to pin its arm. So it is a different game than World of Tanks. I don't think that a player coming over from World of Tanks is going to be immediately successful. It's a huge advantage to understand tank armor conceptually, but it's only one aspect of the game. So, attacker. Attackers are really good against defenders. They drive really fast, and they have big guns, and they have pretty good health. This attacker is an autoloader. This attacker is a tiny burst fire. I'm not quite familiar. He doesn't seem to have abilities, yet he has energy, right? Confusing, because you would expect that the energy would be there for a reason, an ability. Why wouldn't I get an ability? So I think that it's closed alpha. I don't think that it's final. In this one, for example, you get an improvement to your accuracy. So you can spend energy to short-term improve your shot grouping, which is a great, obviously, investment in it. And then you got twin-mounted machine guns. This is what I was talking about. You could use this to keep someone tracked. You could also use it to chip a target down. It's a good little utility that's always available. Smoke as well, you know, everything that you would expect. But that frontman trait, that first trait is completely unique to each agent/tank. In this one, if I kill 3 enemies without dying, it'll improve my gun reload speed and AP shell critical damage for 20 seconds. So that's a big requirement. You got to kill 3 tanks every battle to get Grim Reaper. Probably harder to activate than earning 3 crit hits, right? So it's definitely something that you got to consider when picking an agent. Do you think that they have good synergy with the way that the tank is designed and the abilities match up and the way they're expected to be played? I don't know. And then on top of that, they have further abilities that enhance this, and they might unlock further range or a doubling effect, or maybe even enhance it further. Akira, I've seen Akira in battle. It's a pretty good one as well. It's got good maneuverability, and it's got a really strong gun setup that it has going on. I think this is Valkyr. He's a German. He's the Republic of Soviet Germany. So this is like 60s to 80s or 60s to 90 Germany. Don't know anything because they don't know either. This Twister guy, he's classified, but notice he's an attacker, but he's a wheeled vehicle. This is something that just wouldn't happen in World of Tanks. They're more stringent on where they reside because it's more based on reality, which doesn't work out when you have 100 or 200 tanks. It's hard to distinguish the uniqueness between. So I think that this is a much better future design for the concept if they, fully realize this and continue working on it. I'm very impressed with what I see so far. Defender, Titan, we've already talked about. B-52. Well, we have a Volcano Mine Layer and Punch. Punch has Support Master. So some of the abilities are more for personal enhancement. Some are support related. Some might be even defensive related. Chopper, he was OP as shit. I mean, he was OP. OP. They actually nerfed him into the ground in the most recent patch because he was so strong. He could activate an air gunship from anywhere on the match, and he could fly around it, shooting at tanks on the ground. And this can happen at the very beginning. And shooting at tanks on the ground, you will slow their track progress, or you might even disable it. So it's pretty annoying that they can instantly do this when they spawn in. And I've seen multiple choppers do this, like 3 or 4 gunships up at the same time at the very beginning of a match, and they've even gotten kills. So he needed to be nerfed. The Gatling gun can keep a tracked vehicle detracked. Smoke, once again. Darnik, he is a Russian tank, a Soviet tank with an autoloader. He also blocks armor, and he can call in a helicopter. I've never used this guy, obviously not unlocked. Brimstone looks like he's got a lot of pushing. He looks Brit, so excited to see whatever he is. Adam is that weird tank with 4 tank treads, and it's got a really big gun. And then for fire support, Jager, he's the default sniper, and I really love him. Blitz, he's a blitzer, but he is more of an ability-driven fire support. He obviously has a nice gun, but it's not as nice as Jaeger's, right? So he makes up the difference with the way that he can do TV-guided missiles. If you've ever played PlanetSide, this is like the new conglomerate. So you can just sit there wire guiding or TV guiding missiles. So it's something interesting, of course. Ray has weird abilities that are obviously electrically driven. Because look at this tank, it looks crazy. We got the AR AAV, which looks like a 50s tank with a big old derp gun. And then we've got what looks like artillery, but I have never seen it in battle. So fire support artillery unit. HSTVL. HSTVL also has the B-52 bomber. They have artillery smoke, so you can put smoke somewhere on the map. That's kind of interesting. Some of these are just based on landing shell. Some of them are crit. Some of them are tankiness. You know, their frontman trait can be very different. And then here's a French one, Phantom. I've actually seen this one, been pretty legit as well. So, you know, the agent offering is a good initial offering. It has multiple different types that are available for the player to decide, you know, who they want to be. What's my defender? What's my fire support? What's my attacker? And then you can choose them, and the roles that they play in the battle, it ends up feeling really nice. It's very triangular in the attackers are really good against defenders. Defenders are really good against fire support. Fire support's really good against attackers. So it's got that whole rock, paper, scissors vibe to it. So I'm really pleased so far with what is offered. Now, that was the UI of the game. Let's take a look at the gameplay for this game. Now, one thing I just wanted to highlight, note in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, it's actually loading the map, and I can still control the UI freely. I can switch my agents or my loadouts. It doesn't seem to lock you out like other games, or, you know, other games wouldn't even offer this. So it's a nice little addition. I just wanted to highlight it because obviously. All right. So this is the Plant and Defuse. This is the Counter-Strike-like game, 5 versus 5, single life, and we are playing in the Jager. So this is the guy who is the sniper, and he's actually quite fun. He was the first tank, or agent, sorry. You're going to catch me doing that a lot. That's the map. You actually activate it by pressing tab. But Jaeger's pretty good. He's got a high damage gun, and he's very maneuverable. And we're just going to head out looking for our bomb location. So just like Counter-Strike, there's 2 potential bomb locations. The enemy has to defend. And he uses his rocket launching. I decided to use my smoke. And you'll note that I can make use of my thermal imaging. I can see through the smoke, whereas most of my team, they can't see anything. And neither can the enemy. And some parts of the map are destructible, but a lot of the part of the map isn't destructible. Speaking of, people are using their, you know, artillery strikes on us. I decide, let's just move in and try and get into this one position. Not the best choice, considering I'm a fire support tank, so I don't really have any armor for this. But if I get good crits, I can kill this guy quick. And remember, the repair kit can heal. So it's not like I'm running out of health forever. I could disengage if I could get away. Now, you might look at this UI and you go, man, what game have I seen that's like this? Man, this is Battlefield 2042 UI. If I've ever seen it, the friend or foe thing, how many kills the foe has gotten on you. This UI, 100%. Someone who really loved Battlefield 2042 UI just brought it over here. I don't know if it serves the right purpose. I don't really have one way or another that I view it. It seems fine enough. The aesthetic is, it's an interesting departure from what World of Tanks has used in the past. And, you know, that's, you know, Wargaming, obviously this is a separate product They don't want you to look at it as a continuation or an evolution, or I guess timeline evolution at least. This is supposed to be a way for,
Base A is under attack.
I guess, the hero shooter crowd to get into tank games. So this is more of an expansion of the tank armor gameplay, and it's supposed to exist alongside World of Tanks for Wargaming. Now, whether that ends up being the case in 10 years, who knows? I certainly like the nature of this game. I feel like it works well. So the enemy team, they were able to eliminate my team, and they were able to defend. We were the ones needing to plant the bomb. Now we are the defender, and now I need to take up a really good defensive position. You can see on the map the general spawn location of the enemy. So that's where they're coming from. And I just need to be aware of what's going on. And one of the best ways is obviously to take a look. It is I believe it is a 3D map, the tab button, and I can see all the units moving in real time. So just like Battlefield in that way, the map is kind of an extension of the game space. Now you'll notice as I am scrolling across, great example, I shot into his cosmetic design, but I didn't shoot into the area of his tank that gave back that shielding effect. That shielding effect communicates whether you can penetrate it. That rocket from the attacker is going after us. Again, I activate smoke to hide. It's not going to hide, and I am damaged before my heal over time can benefit me, and I'm just trying to hide. And we're clearly not inside of smoke at this point. We're just focused 100% on trying to stay alive while this guy goes finish players off. Don't know why he decided to forego my position. I have 196 health. I'm gonna die, obviously. So this isn't looking good. Now I activate my deploy. Look at his full-size deploy. The deploy will deploy with your last seen health pool, and it will traverse the gun towards the target as if it's real, but it won't move, it won't damage. The only thing it basically gives is spawning information, so very much a decoy as it's described. But boy, top left-hand corner of the UI, 2 are remaining on my team, and then 3 on the enemy teams, and they still have the bomb, so this is not looking good. And I didn't, oh, he gets rammed. I don't know why you would ram a defender, which is the big, heavy tanks. It's 3 versus 1. In the replay, you don't see all the explosions that are going off. Obviously, it's a closed alpha. It's going to be improved for release. This is not an issue that will continue to that day, but right now, you just never see anyone firing their guns or any animation playing when you're in this third-person death cam. And there's only 1 left. 1 against 2. He's actually using that, I think that TV-guided rocket. It actually works pretty nicely, and he rams for a 4th kill, and all that's left is the 1 last. We're down 2-0. Not looking good. That's okay. It's okay. We can always turn this back. So, obviously, I'm considering my deploy locations. I'm attempting to find a place on the map that I can get a good, maybe a defender tank to absorb attention while I shoot over top of him like any good sniper would. I'm spamming that boost. Every tank gets a speed boost, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't end up going with the legacy tank control scheme from World of Tanks. The speed boost is a short burst of speed that is available, and it's really awkward to not be on the shift key. They assign it to like C or X, and if you ever are in the tank legacy, if you're ever moving from left to right, you can't press every button because obviously X is competing with D and S. So you've got a lot of with the legacy control scheme, it's a little bit more limiting, whereas the shooter control scheme is a little bit more universal. So we get this long-range fire support dude to drive by. He misses his shot, but we don't miss our shot, and we actually crit him. Now, when you crit a target, obviously higher damage, but it will also reduce the effect of whatever you happen to crit. If it's the engine or the fuel or the ammo. It's just going to be less effective, as you would expect in other tank games that Wargaming have built. But you have the extra layer of abilities to consider. So I know that this guy, last known position, he's behind these boxes. My team doesn't seem to be going quite well, but we do have a 2-tank advantage. Now, the defender, he decides he's going to drive by this guy, which he gets good spotting information, and I'm hoping that this guy will pop out. We take a shot just a little too quick, and he actually angle ricochets. All the angling, all the ricocheting, everything that you love about World of Tanks is here for the mechanics, and I think that's great. They've just added on to the mechanics to make them a little bit less predictable in the outcome, and I love that. That's the hero shooter aspect of it that is really fun and appealing. The ability uses are diverse and unique as well. So I'm just really excited to potentially play a tank game that is really high quality from Wargaming, that doesn't involve gold ammo, and quite honestly involves more unique gameplay elements to consider and game modes that I actually want to play. This does not continue your standard battle, kill every tank. The game modes are conquest, plant and defuse, and then capture and hold. So there's really only those opportunities versus the standard battle that World of Tanks was originally envisioned as. That's not in this game at all. This is way more like Battlefield than World of Tanks, except for the tank gameplay, quite frankly. You can ping on the map as well, in the middle mouse button. You can instantly ping for your team and let everyone know that there is something in that area. So it takes all of the new, just like I did right there, so it takes all of the new shooter additions and it refines it and adds it to the tank game mode. And I decide to pop my smoke. I'm going to place a decoy behind. The decoy obviously is a good decoy because no one will see my last known position, so I can drive around. If they happen to interact with my decoy, they'll be spotted on the game map. So I have that extra layer of spotting available for Jager, which is only available to Jager. But we sort of come around enemy tank. 2 other enemy tanks have great line of sight as they're defending the bomb, but we do catch a nice crit on his rear end. So if we can do a couple more good shots on him, we'll easily knock him out. And we do have fire support from one team. Obviously, I'm limiting the other enemy tank from affecting this. Ooh, that was a big damaging shot. One more, he might misplay this and pop back out. Instantly taken out. And you see that sort of shielding hover? It's very similar to Halo. It will tell you the hitbox of the tank without considering the cosmetic that is attached to it. So that's really great for that. Move forward, and we're engaging 2 versus 1. Obviously, this is the sniper, so he's got a low hit point. Sniper versus sniper, and plus teammates easily knock him out. And every other enemy is defeated. So this is going to bring it to a 2 versus 2. So the next game will decide it. Who can win? Who knows? Obviously, we're defusing and planting and doing all those things. It would be nice, and this is how Counter-Strike is, but I guess it makes sense because, if you defend the bomb and you're the last person alive and there's like 3 seconds left, then they have to plant the bomb. If they can't plant the bomb, they still lose, So that is still in effect with this plant versus diffuse scenario. So we got one last game. As players get more comfortable with the game, you're going to notice more synergy with the ability usage. The game tries to encourage you to incorporate your abilities into your play. Every single scenario has a better... Oh, and this is a bad call. So what we're going to do is pop smoke. We're going to fire, and we're going to retreat, and we're going to use our repair kit to get out of a bad situation. And look at that. We've now limited everyone except one enemy tank. I decide to use a decoy just to throw people off. It surprisingly throws them off, and we're just getting really great shots on the ammo. He's doing a rocket display. Really love how satisfying crits are and how the UI expresses it. We actually activated our bullseye, our frontman trait, so the next 2 shots will be more accurate, which is great, obviously, for a shot placement. And the Jager does great at critting, so you always want to try and find the rear end or the ammo or the fuel tanks, especially for extra damage. Obviously finish off. Oh, dang. His armor was able to absorb. Looks like we're going to bring this to a head, and that is a great game in the Jager, and my teams did a great job. Really satisfying plant and defuse. You know, I don't know if I like one or the other, but I certainly enjoyed this game. Hopefully you all did as well. Leave in the comments what you think about all of this. Obviously, this will inform me on whether I will continue to make more videos for this game. Thanks again, and have a great one.